Association. Bob Barsha along with Ted Jones with you. A big crowd on hand, ready for one of the most prestigious drag races of the season, the Fall Nationals, with a big crowd of sportsman competitors on hand. Let's get right to the action in the quarterfinals of Top Dragster. Our first matchup, Mike Fuqua against Joe Leach. Fuqua, the points leader for the World Championship coming in. His title rival, Britt Cummings, went out in the first round. Fuqua can really make some time here, but to do that, he'll have to get around Joe Leach out of Hamilton, Ohio.
The dial-ins for both of these, a 7:27 for Mike Fuqua, Joe Leach, a 7:17. Take note, fans, at the times that these top dragsters are dialing in, some of them are actually dialing down into the sixes, and that makes really tough bracket racing.
Dial in is your car's predicted performance. You can go that quick and no quicker. Problems off the line for Leach. No, he fouled. He turned on the red light.
So Mike Fuqua will pick up the win, a 7:25 on that 7:27 dial-in. That's really significant because he has to go into the semifinal round.
On to our next pair, Mike Benoist of Olin, North Carolina, and Jackie Sloan of Ypsilanti, Michigan.
And a foul start for Mike Benoist, so that'll give an easy walk over to Jackie Sloan. He dialed at 694. He runs a 963. He saw the red light and shut it down.
That means he is easy on the equipment, but it means he passes up an opportunity to test his ability to meet his dial-in. To our next pair, Scott Chalmers from Corbinaise, Illinois, against Michael Barkley, number 2 in the world last year from Henderson, Tennessee.
Nearly equal reaction times. Let's give the win to Scott Chalmers. He dialed a 691, ran a 694.
Things are heating up. Note the launches. Both drivers getting away almost identically, 1/1000th of a second apart.
Down they go past the 8-mile mark. Now here's where bracket racing comes in. The idea is to win, but don't break out.
If you go quicker than your dial-in, you have broken out. Here comes the Ohio connection. World champ Dave Elrod going up against Steve Wilson.
Elrod needs this win if he's to move up in the points. He's having difficulty defending that world championship this year. Identical dial-ins, a 712. First off the line is Steve Wilson with a 5:06 reaction time, but Elrod runs closer to his dial, a 725. Wilson could only muster a 746.
So our matchups in the semifinals will be Dave Elrod and Jackie Sloan. Mike Fuqua will take on Scott Chalmers. Welcome to a warm fall afternoon at Bristol International Dragway and the IHRA Fall Nationals. About 70 degrees, a light breeze blowing after rain last night. The track is a little green, but it's time to go racing with World Championship on the line. The name Bertozzi is familiar to fans of IHRA drag racing, and this year it could go into the record books in the biggest possible way. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Barsha, along with Ted Jones. Welcome to Thunder Valley. The season is winding down. We've got great points battles to tell you about, but I think the name that we really should talk about at the beginning of our show, Ted, is the Bertozzi family.
Without question. Now, Melinda's done very well in quick rod, but the big news has got to be Anthony, who will probably repeat again in modified Eliminator with his Potent A dragster, winning another world championship. However, this car is the one that's going to make drag racing history. Anthony Bertozzi's Superstock car has a comfortable points lead in the Superstock points chase. And if he wins the Superstock World Championship, it'll be the first time in the history of sportsman drag racing that a drag racer has won 2 world championships in the same year.
That is a story that is yet to play out. Our Speed World coverage is brought to you by Precision Gear. When your rear end is on the line, depend on Precision Gear. We'll be back with top sportsman and top dragster semifinals at Thunder Valley. Stay with us.
When your rear end is on the line, depend on Precision Gear.
I've never been tested for HIV. I should be. Everyone should be.
Or just go to your phone and call 1-800-HIV-TEST.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Home Access, making you feel right at home.
Welcome back to the Parts Pro Fall Nationals, presented by Prolong Super Lubricants and Competition Cams. I'm Bob Barsha, along with Ted Jones. Before we get back to the action, here's Brett Kepner to bring us up to date.
It may not be the last drag race of the 1996 IHRA Snap-on Tool Series, but it could be the most important one. The Parts Pro Performance Center Fall Nationals will indeed set the stage for that last drag race in Darlington, South Carolina. And with a newly revamped point system, we'll be talking about that a little bit later. The 1996 IHRA Sportsman Series has been one of the closest ever. In fact, there's only a few World Championships that are absolutely wrapped up coming into this next to last event. The one thing that surprised a lot of people is the change in the schedule that drew 640 race cars to this fabled facility, and that's going to make this a real chore for the drivers who are trying to gain points, because it's going to be 6 and 7 rounds to get to some of the finals. That in itself is going to make this one of the tougher drag races of the season, and coming off the recent World Nationals at Norwalk, that's mighty tough. Keep in mind that the atmospheric conditions here at Bristol are so much different than they are at the spring race. It's really like two completely different racetracks. And indeed, we saw some track records in Top Dragster and Top Sportsman already during the qualifying rounds. In fact, it's a beautiful day right now. Bob, what are the weather stats?
They look like this, Brett. 70 degrees, kind of warm for this time of year. Here in northeastern Tennessee, 10-mile-an-hour wind blowing away the rain clouds from last night. Good barometric pressure for making horsepower. To the Top Sportsman class, where the big news is the championship has been clinched. There's Richard Albritton, who's still in the competition. He will go up against Doug Hale. But back in round 2, Albritton beat this man, Gary Bingham, who clinched the World Championship, going to the second round, which is exactly where he needed to go.
Top Sportsman's a tough class, and we had some good breaks, and the only thing easier about this year is it didn't come down to the last run on the last race.
That's true. It was it kept you from aging a little more than 1 year.
Right. I keep some more hairs up here for a while.
Like I said, you're in the record books. First 3-time world champ. Congratulations.
Thanks, Fred. I appreciate it.
So Gary Bingham clinches the Top Sportsman World Championship with 1 event to go, and now the man who beat him in round 2, Richard Albritton, is up against Doug Hale, hoping to get to the final.
The number 20 and 30 qualifiers dial in for Albritton is 7:37. A nice reaction time to pick up the win. He runs a 7:42. Doug Hale dialed at 7:48, could only muster up a 53.
Here's another look. Richard Albritton was the runner-up in this class a year ago here at Thunder Valley. Nice start, wheels in the air, as we often see in Top Sportsman.
And you can see just how close this sportsman drag racing is. That close.
On to our next pair to see who will meet Albritton in the final. Greg Lair against Terry Freever.
This is a little bit of irony. Greg Lair running a 95 Pontiac Firebird with a Chevy motor. Freever running a Monte Carlo with a Pontiac motor.
Foul for Freever. Lair gets a free ride to the final. And as you watch Terry Freever, he didn't miss by much. 7/1000ths of a second. Greg Lair moseys through.
The reason Lair let up, obviously, is to save the motor for that final run.
So it'll be Greg Lair trying to beat Richard Albritton in the finals of Top Sportsman. Now let's join Brett Kepner talking about one of the top stories in drag racing in this edition of Drag Review.
Throughout the 1996 season, Top Dragster has once again grabbed its share of the limelight on the sportsman ranks in the Snap-on Series, and that, of course, leads to a lot of rumors about the impending and creation of a new professional category based on the API automatic transmission Moser Engineering Quick 8 Shootout that showcases the super quick cars during the last qualifying session at IHRA events. It doesn't look like the Pro Class will be in the cards for the 1997 season, but don't think for a minute that IHRA officials aren't keeping a close eye on the category. Now that there have been a total of 35 different race cars in the 6-second zone in Top Dragster Eliminator in 1996, certainly this class is moving more and more towards its own professional division. Now keep in mind that there are still 3 different varieties of race cars that are dominating the top of the qualifying list. The top dragster rules state that the big block engine dragsters get the choice of nitrous oxide and fuel injection and not much else. But a small block powered dragster is allowed a supercharger as long as it uses an automatic transmission. And of course, the fan favorite rule, if you build an altered roadster for top dragster, you can do any darn thing you please. This year we've seen some amazing performances, led of course by David Price in the Work in America nitrous injected carbureted gas dragster that has run as quick as 6.26 seconds at over 217 miles per hour. Even here at the Fall Nationals, Floridian Jim Fudge and his PowerTech Generators carbureted gas dragster unleashed a series of 216 mile per hour speeds with elapsed times in the 650s. The supercharged small block contingent is still dominated by people like TJ Lepter and his Indianapolis-based machine, and Bill Gendron, whose supercharged small block digger is also dipped into the 6.4 second zone this year. And the altered roadsters were led at the Fall Nationals by the 6.5 second Absolute Pleasure 23 4D of Connecticut racer Danny Roman. With machines like this and the fact that the Quick 8 bump spots have been in the 6.6 second zone so far this year, obviously these cars can present a quality heads-up drag race. Maybe in 1998 we'll get to see them showcased all on their own. That's this edition of Drag Review.
All right, thanks, Brett. Let's go to the semifinals of Top Dragster. In the near lane, Jackie Sloan. In the far lane, the world champ, Dave Elrod. Jackie Sloan has one of those 6-second dial-ins that Brett was just talking about, a 697 dial, almost equal reaction time. Dave Elrod, 729 on a 712 dial-in. He did beat him with a 510 to a 516 react. Jackie Sloan with serious traction problems off the line. Now to our next pair. Mike Fuqua, number 4 in the world last year, points leader. The man Dave Elrod is trying to run down, going up against Scott Chamness. Chamness with a 692 dial-in. Wow, what a reaction time. Scott Chamness with a 509 react. Now, can he run that 6-second number? No, nowhere near it. He slows to a 717. Mike Fuqua down to 724. Will run a 34 and move into the final.
Not that you ever need to be lucky, but let's face it, that kid has been really tough, and to get around him is a pretty good tour. He had problems, but now it all comes down to one run. If you win the final, you can wrap the World Championship, and you got to take on Elrod, the king of the class, to do it.
That's great. I like me and Dave. We've known each other a long time in bracket racing, forever in Florida and everywhere, and I'm glad to get a chance to run him. So I'm so excited. I don't know what to say. I know if I've got it. If I win this, I wrap it up. I said that gives me only thing that happened. Brick could get to the final. He'd have to win at Darlington, I think, to pass me. If I win this round, it's done. And man, I just can't believe it's all happening.
Believe it, Mike. Win the final, and you're the world champ. Elrod wins. It goes to the season finale in Darlington, South Carolina. We'll be back in a moment as Anthony Bertozzi goes for a different sort of record in Thunder Valley.
Prime Star presents Sports Fact number 100, the unavoidable truth about sports. There will be lopsided Super Bowls. First-year expansion teams will always stink. And all your life, you'll be confused by blackouts. The first two, we can't help you with. But we can explain the blackouts and help you understand them. First of all, whether you're watching Prime Star, broadcast networks, local TV stations, or other satellite services, blackouts will affect everybody at one time or another. Secondly, blackouts usually have nothing to do with stadium sellouts, and they aren't designed to ruin your weekend either. Instead, they exist to protect the network or local stations which buy exclusive rights to certain games. Sports fact number 101. At Prime Star, we'll do our best to minimize the impact blackouts have on our customers. Sports fact number 102. Prime Star is the best place for sports fanatics. And it's another reason why Prime Star is the best value in satellite TV. Enjoy.
Welcome back to Bristol, Tennessee. Bob Varsha, Ted Jones, Brett Kepner with you for the Parts Pro Fall Nationals, presented by Competition Cams and Prolong Super Lubricants. Before we get back to the action, here's Brett Kepner with a track fact.
Well, one thing that's not going to change in 1997 at IHRA Snap-on Tools Drag Racing is the number one on this air scoop. Anthony Bertozzi has done it again. And here at the Fall Nationals, even though this is no longer the last event of the Snap-on Series, it's already over in the World Championship points race in the Modified Eliminator Division. His second one in a row will allow him to carry the number one into next year. But keep in mind that Bertozzi still has an opportunity to possibly become the first man in IHRA drag racing history to win 2 World Championships in the same year with his Superstock Eliminator Camaro. And in fact, that battle may be settled before the end of this Fall Nationals. But keep in mind that this year's point series was structured quite differently than any in the past, where IHRA used to allow racers to claim 5 national championship events and 5 regional or world championship series events to accumulate their total for points. This year, it's an automatic selection system where automatically the 5 best national event finishes and the 5 best world championship series event finishes are selected to make up a racer's total points score. Whether or not that worked for Bertozzi's benefit remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure, every Eliminator category except for Modified is still up for grabs. That kind of tells you the new series is working.
All right, thanks, Brett. I guess Bertozzi's win in the Modified Championship was a foregone conclusion. Let's go to Superstock, where Anthony Bertozzi has already lost in the 3rd round. This is A.H. Atkins against Marvin Graves for the final. Marvin Graves won the first 2 IHRA national events of the season. Now here he is in another final. A.H. Atkins, a nice 6:29 reaction time. Graves was way late off the line. A.H. Atkins with a 9:79 dial-in, ran a 10:12 with that 69 AMX.
Ladies and gentlemen, his first time ever on TV after a 3-decade drag racing career, the driver of IHRA's quickest and fastest Rambler, and it wins.
Thank you very much.
I mean, you've been at this game so long with one of the weirdest cars in the world. You keep winning with this thing.
Well, you know, I turned 50 this year, and they say a lot of good things happen to you when you turn 50, and I guess this is the beginning of them.
You know, I have to admit, this car has been very, very competitive in both IHRA for years and NHRA for years, and it seems like no matter where you go the last season and a half, this thing's been right there.
Yes, it has, but let me point out one thing. This is the first time it's won a national event.
Well, that's all that matters, my friend, and congratulations for all the 4-speed fans and the few Rambler fans that are out there. Great job.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I learned to drive in a Rambler. What's he talking about? On to our modified final, where Anthony Bertozzi, as Brett has already mentioned, will have the number 1 plate next year. Right now, he is in the final against Doug Hobgood. And if you think Bertozzi's going to lift here, you are crazy. Look at the handicap head start for Doug Hobgood, 985 to 755 dial-in. Now here comes the big A dragster of Anthony Bertozzi. Yes, he pulls out the victory, a 763 on that 755 dial-in. This is absolutely incredible. Hobgood with a 67 Nova, powered by a small block, 296 cubic inch Buick. And look at the handicap head start given to Hobgood by Bertozzi by virtue of the dial-ins in the electronic computer.
You knew that you got there first.
Yes, sir.
It was only 5/1000ths of a second. That comes out to, roughly about 8 or 9 inches.
Yeah, I've seen every inch of it. I tell you the truth, Brett, I think something else is wrong with the car. I got right past 1,000. I felt like I was coming on him, and the car felt like it died. Then it come back to life, and I got by him, and I left it. I know my mile an hour had to be down from 1.
Yeah, it was. It was way down. It went at 763.
Yeah, it should have ran a number. I've been driving the finish line pretty good all day. I took 1,000, get short red. Maybe I've been screwing it up and getting lucky, but when I ran this morning, I had to run A dragster heads up, and he had me covered 3/10, and he red lighted. I said, if today ain't my day, I'm gonna never win another race.
Hey, why let an early season wrap up for the championship stop you from winning every other race there is?
You're right. I'm trying to buy a new Superstock so I can have a good car, and I need all the money I can get. So.
Yeah, when we go to Darlington, you still got a chance to win the second one.
Yeah, I sure do. If I could win both championships and win Darlington, that'd probably be a good end to the season, and probably the most points anybody's ever gotten a season.
Isn't it interesting the way sportsman drag racers talk? On to the stock final, which will be a solo pass for Jeff McKinney from Carroll, Ohio. Jeff McKinney, and of all things, a 1980 Plymouth Volare. Remember those? Well, it has the potent 363/40 wedge. To the line he comes. 12-16 was the dial. 12-18 with a 3. The pass at 108 miles an hour. Easy running for Jeff McKinney. Now it's time for the Race Mechanic, presented by Holly, the Performance Edge. Here is Ted Jones with the professor from Pro Stock, Roy Hill.
Bob, in order to catch up with Holly's Race Mechanic, we had to track him down inside a Sportsman trailer. What's this big black thing? What's going on, Roy?
Well, this goes under the Roy Hill Drag Race school car. And what it does is we slide this big airbag underneath, and then we shoot air to it. It tightens up against this chassis. And Ted, you know, so many racers don't realize where the car takes such a beating. It cracks the suspension traveling up and down these rough highways we go over. The quarter mile, it's smooth. It's easy on the race car. Well, we travel hundreds of thousands of miles through a 5-year period with a sportsman car. This has caused the cars to last so much longer. And it also works not only on a dragster, but a door car. And this is another tip from the Roy Hill Drag Race School.
Looks like kind of a high-tech whoopee cushion, but if the professor says it works, I'm all for it. We'll be back.
Another one. Sports Center, the concept album, and who could forget Sports Center, the movie?
Dan,
but I'm not like the other sportscasters. You make me feel in fuego.
Billy!
Welcome back to Happy Hour at Thunder Valley. Ready with the finals of Hot Rod, featuring points leader John Furr, number 2 in the world last year. He's in the far lane in that red 72 Nova, going up against Steve Abner from New Richmond, Ohio, in his 1970 Ford Mustang.
And we have a red light start for John Furr, so I guess it'll go on down to Darlington. The predetermined dial-in set by the sanctioning body, 10.90 seconds. Abner runs 10.92 with a 1. Furr threw away a 10.91.
And so it'll be the season finale in Darlington for John Furr. On to the Super Rod final. Terry Nolan from Hendersonville, Tennessee against Tim West in the Wild Wild West, South Carolina-based Chevy Vega.
Big block for Tim West. Terry Nolan with a small block. Wow, the reaction time. Terry Nolan, the 402. Tim West, a perfect 400 reaction time. Will that pick up the victory? Right down to the wire. Oh, Terry Nolan, a 990 with a 0 on that 990 dial-in. He picks up the win, even though he did not have the perfect reaction time.
Now we move to the quick rod category. Kenny Martin from Chapel Hill, North Carolina against Scott Duggins from Spartanburg, South Carolina, the reigning world champion.
And that world champ shows you why he is, Bob, with a 402 reaction time. That should put Kenny Martin in trouble, but no! Kenny Martin pulls out the win, another perfect run. 890 is the dial, and he runs an 890 with a 9. Scott Duggins could only manage an 896 on that 890 dial. That's why he lost.
The Performance Edge comes from a century of horsepower delivered by Holly Performance Products. High performance for the next 100 years will still mean Holly, because wherever winners race, Holly's under the hood. Put Holly Performance under yours right now with Holly Systemax Performance Engine System, Holly Volumax Electric Fuel Pumps, HP Pro Series carburetors, and Holly's exciting digital projection fuel injection system. Remember, you want horsepower, you want Holly.
Now is the perfect time to start weightlifting. The perfect time for SoloFlex. The muscle you build on SoloFlex increases your metabolism to burn fat 24 hours a day. Weightlifting also boosts your immune system and increases your aerobic capacity. And nothing works better than weightlifting to improve your looks and energy. Call now for your free brochure and video.
This Thursday on ESPN2, Heath Graham and Southern Miss look for revenge against Marcus Crandall's East Carolina Pirates. Southern Miss, East Carolina, Thursday at 8, only on ESPN2.
A harvest moon over northeastern Tennessee and Thunder Valley, Bristol International Dragway. Bob Barsha, Ted Jones, and Brett Kepner with you. Closing rounds of the Fall Nationals. Top Sportsman Final. Richard Albrecht, runner-up in this event a year ago out of Gordonsville, Tennessee, running against the pride of Canyon, Texas, Greg Lair.
The dial-ins for Richard Albritton, 7:38 Lair on a 7:16. Richard Albritton, a 5:13 reaction time. He has Lair in big trouble. Albritton will pick up the win, a 7:42 on that 7:38 dial. Here's Brett.
As mentioned in the semis, there's nothing worse than making a final round and not being able to appear, and that's exactly what happened to Richard Albritton at the World Nationals, the last national event. 2 in a row finals, but this is the big one. This is the win you wanted.
It feels great to be here. Like I thanked everybody a while ago. Eagles been great. My family, everybody's helped me, my friends, and I wish I knew I was going to win and been on TV. I'd shaved this morning.
Well, you've been working hard on this car, and by the way, if you wanted a good drag race, 4/1000 of a second through win.
That was close, wasn't it? I seen him come up beside of me when he did that. I nailed that next system, the one that cost me at Norwalk, but it won this one.
Nitrous is wonderful, isn't it?
It'll win races.
Horsepower in the bottle comes in handy sometimes. Now to our final top dragster and the battle of champions, Mike Fuqua and Dave Elrod. Well, and if you saw it earlier, Mike Fuqua needs to win this. If he does, he's locked up the world championship. He dials in a 26, Elrod a 7:12. Fuqua first off the line with a 5:15, an easy victory. He runs a 7:34 on that 26 dial-in. Let's go down to top end with Brett.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want pressure, picture this guy. In the final round, he had to win it to wrap the world championship. He had to beat the 2-time consecutive champion of the class to do it. One of the toughest drivers who ever lived, and you did it.
Boy, that's great. I can't believe it. I finally, after all that, finally got the world championship. They passed me last weekend. I led it for so long, and oh man, it's just unbelievable.
Mike Fuqua, the world champion in Top Dragster. There you see the top 5 as they finished. And in Top Sportsman, our congratulations to Gary Bingham, winning 3 in a row, Albritton in second place. Anthony Bertozzi locks up Modified Eliminator, and in Super Stock Eliminator, it'll go down to Darlington with Marvin Graves in hot pursuit. Stock Eliminator, Curtis Smith, very close to Laverne Ebers and Gene Jordan. And in Hot Rod Eliminator, it's going down to Billy Italio and John Furr. And in Super Rod Eliminator, Tim West and Steve Furr. How much closer can you get it? We'll know at Darlington. Quick Rod, Mike Fuqua could win 2 in a row if Dave Elrod doesn't manage to catch and pass him.
Our Speed World coverage has been brought to you by Meguiar's Car Care Products. Meguiar's for that brilliant finish. The final race of the year will be Darlington, South Carolina. Be sure to be there where the titles are clinched. For Ted Jones and Brett Kepner, I'm Bob Varsha. So long, everyone.